Hey.
All right, everybody, we are live today. Thank you so much for joining. We are here to talk all things about Houston, Texas. Erica, thank you so much for joining us and representing Houston today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's totally my pleasure. This is really cool. I love that you do this. So, yeah, no, I'm excited about this.
Yeah, and I feel like I've been doing a tour of Texas lately, and Houston
Good.
is still one of the last standing that I have not visited. So you're going to need to tell me everything I need to know, and then when I finally go to visit, I'll have it all prepared. So let's dive right in. Let's talk a little
Sure.
bit about, of course, real estate, what people are looking for when they go there. Let's dive a little bit into what the experience would be if someone's moving there and who's moving there. So I'll start with the first question.
All right.
So first and foremost, tell me exactly what market you're in, aside from Houston, what other areas you serve.
Sure. So I mean, I'm basically the Houston area, and I do mostly the northern suburbs of Houston outside of Houston proper. So I do Katy, I do Cypress, I do the Spring area, I do Conroe and the Woodlands. The Woodlands is probably one of my main markets right now with people moving from out of state. And then I do all the way to Kingwood, which is kind of northeast. So I go kind of in a clockwise area. But yeah, and Tomball. Tomball is also up there in the northern side. So yeah, I do most of the northern suburbs.
Okay, and I'm stupid when it comes to Houston. So what county is that? Does that spread over
Sure.
multiple counties?
So it does spread over multiple counties. Harris County is the main county, and that covers Houston proper and some of the outer suburbs. Then as you get into the Woodlands and Conroe, that's Montgomery County, and as you get to some of the south side of Katy, that's Fort Bend County. So there's actually 3 counties that I do touch at one
Okay.
time.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. And as far as people moving in,
hmm
so what are you seeing? What is the activity? Are people still moving in from other states, or do you get a lot of relocation within the area, just moving
hmm
up, moving down, that kind of idea?
Sure. So, I have 2 different aspects on this. I've actually have a lot of people that have recently relocated to Texas from out of state. And the 2 different lead sources I get from that is referrals and from my local services ads. And a lot of people, when they think that they want to move to Texas, they look at what are the best places to move in Texas. And one of the top results is the Woodlands, which is why I mentioned that a lot of my out of state people are actually moving towards the Woodlands because it's really sought after just because of it's slightly outside of the main downtown area. A lot of people do travel into town for it, and it's about a 30 to 45-minute commute depending on traffic. But it's really kind of got a cool little river walkway and all of that. So that's why a lot of people look for that. They also have one of the best school ISDs, which is Independent School District here in Texas. It has one of the best ISDs in the country. So a lot of people do look for that whenever they're coming down here. So that's one of the big things I've got. As for like actually the amount of people moving, it's usually people from Harris County moving out to the suburbs. So a lot of move up, move down. So if you actually look at, I don't know if you've ever looked at this site. A lot of people do just to kind of see where their clientele could come from. Is how money walks. And
Mhm.
one of those right now, it at one point was California was coming and all that, but right now it's showing that Harris County is a lot of people are moving out of Harris County and going into Montgomery County and Fort Bend County and Galveston County, which are all the surrounding suburbs. So that's probably where your main people are coming from. But in the grand scheme of things, a lot of people are moving to Texas. So and for Houston, I don't know if this is one of your questions, but a lot of people move to Houston specifically because of one, the cost of living, and the second one is the industry that we have. So I had one person moving because of oil and gas, which is one of our biggest industries. And then transportation's actually we have the United hub. One of the hubs for United is here in Houston. So there's a lot of people for transportation down here, and the medical district. It's the biggest one in the nation. So that's going to be an aerospace, I guess, too. So there's a lot of reasons why people want to move to Houston, because it's one of the big hubs for that. So
yeah, and that absolutely was one of my questions. So thank you for answering that. And I guess the other thing leading into that is you did mention price points. What are the averages that you're seeing in your market as far as let's go single family homes, and kind of walk me through what a typical single family home looks like, if it has a lot of land, if it doesn't. And then if there's space for entry level condos, townhomes, if that's something that's offered there as well.
Sure. So one of the markets, I guess we'll start with the Houston overall. The average price point is around 400,000. It's a little under 400,000 right now. It got a little over during the peak time, but it's right around 400,000 right now. And that gets you usually a 3 to 4 bedroom home, 2 to 3 bedroom bath. So and with that, land wise, in the Houston proper area, like you don't usually get a ton of land. And I don't know comparatively, like what is considered a lot of land out in California versus here, but
not much. It's not much, Erica.
Yeah. So here it's, I mean, if you want to be the closer into downtown, you're going to get a smaller lot. So, and especially if you're trying to stay around that average price point, then you're probably going to see like a 2,500 square foot lot, and like you're going to have something built up more than taking up a large square footage in space wise. You're going to see it built up. So so you get a smaller lot as you get further in usually, or you have to go up in your price range. As you get further out to like the Katy area or the Cypress area or Springer, I won't lump in the Woodlands because it is its average price point is actually more. So, and we'll go into that too. But as you get out to some of these other ones, then you can get usually a 5,000 square foot lot up to 10,000 square foot lot. As you get more than that, then it gets more expensive again. So with the Woodlands, the average price point is right around 600,000. It's a little less than that right now, but it got a little bit more than that as well. So, you know, it's right around 600,000. So there are some, one of the areas I actually farm is actually around 350 to 450. So there is those entry level homes in the Woodlands as well. If that's what you're looking for, there's definitely, and the great thing about the Woodlands is they have a lot of rules about trees, and you can't cut them down unless they're approved. So you've got a lot of wooded areas, and it's really pretty there. So, and land wise, you're probably going to get about a 5,000 square foot lot or something around there.
Okay. All right. So pretty comparable. Our average is 6,000 square feet for the lot size. So, I mean, we're in there. You have us very well beat on price. About $1 million. I guess we have you beat on price as far as the expense, but you have us beat on affordability.
There we go.
So as far as that goes, are you getting a lot of people that are looking for that entry level? Is that a very popular range right now in this market?
So entry level, I mean, I say entry level in the Woodlands is probably that 400,000. I have had a lot of people wanting to downsize and probably only spend like 400,000 to 500,000. And so they in the Woodlands and that sort of thing. But, really, probably my buyer right now is right in that range. And that's an average home. That's not entry level home in all of Houston. Entry level is probably around 200 to 250,000. So that's in the grander scheme of the greater Houston area, it's probably 200 to 250. And with that, that's the 3 bedroom, 2 bath house. So, you know, the average home I know I described as being like 3 to 4 and that sort of thing. But if you're looking at entry level, it's probably going to be a 3-2, and that's probably what the price range is going to be.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And what does the everyone's favorite question, but what is the market looking like there right now? If someone would just walk up to you on the
Mhm.
street and say, "How's the market?" I know we always get that question as
Yeah.
realtors. So, how is the market in that area? Do you see differences from city to city? Is it kind of across the board? What are you seeing at the moment?
Well, I mean, there's been a slowdown across the board because of interest rates for sure. But I do see a difference in city to city. I mean, knowing the market, knowing your market, it's a complicated thing and it's complex. So you've got to look in the specific areas that the person's looking at understanding. So the Woodlands, for example, like I said, that one's kind of its own bubble because a lot of people want to move there from other states and everything. So it has not had as much of a hit as the whole of Houston. And I say hit, it hasn't had as much of a decrease in pricing as the whole of Houston, but I mean, people still want to move to the Woodlands and still are paying those prices at 550 to 600,000 to get into the Woodlands and to get a decent house in the Woodlands and that sort of thing. So that's and I say a decent sized house and possibly a pool with that. So that includes all of that with the 600,000, I would say. But that that is what I would say. Again, the Woodlands is kind of its own bubble and I would say Texas hasn't felt as much of a downturn as some other states as well, just because there are still a lot of people moving here. There's a lot of great things about Texas that other states don't necessarily have, with the no income tax and lower cost of living here in Houston than even the Dallas Fort Worth or the Austin areas. So we do still get a lot of that. And then the industry, and just we're the number one, what's the word I'm trying to find? The most culturally diverse city in America. I know a lot of people seem surprised by that. It's not New York. It is actually
Yes.
here in Houston. So, or San Francisco or something. We are the most culturally diverse city in America. So that's kind of a cool thing. So I think a lot of people just want to get to somewhere that meets all of those criteria. And so we have not felt the downturn quite as much as some other people have.
Well, and hopefully you don't.
I know.
So
Yeah.
hopefully it continues that way. And when you have someone calling you kind of out of the blue, they want to work with you, they don't know anything about Houston. What are kind of the things that you want to make sure, in my area, for example, of course I want to talk about the pros, but I also want to tell them about traffic and the affordability of everything, and gas prices are expensive. And there's all these elements. So what are the things that are the must know items in Houston and surrounding areas that you want to make sure, if people are relocating and they're not familiar with Texas even as a whole, what the expectations are moving to Houston?
Yeah. So I think the big things that I actually cover is flood zones here in Houston and hurricanes, because that is not, most of the continental US is not dealt with hurricanes. I mean, there have been some, but like we do get them. So if people want to move on the south side of Houston, like I said, I don't work that area as much, but I have. And so that's something that they need to know is like, is their roof wind grade approved, or if they have the certificate for the wind grade. And then also just determining if they're in a flood zone or not, if they're going to need to get flood insurance, because that's a big one. And with Harvey having happened, a lot of people forget that this Harvey thing happened in 2018. And so, 2017. And so they don't think about it as much, but that is something that could happen again. So knowing if the history of the property has actually flooded is important to know how they remediated it and all of those along to make sure that there's no mold in the walls and everything else. So, so that's something that I definitely go into. Also, just understanding what they're looking for in a property and in a community. So there are master plan communities around Houston as well. So that's always something that some people may want. If they're looking for more of the being close, less commute, then I'll go into more closer to Houston and talk to them about what they're looking for. Are they looking for more land? Okay, then this is the kind of budget you're looking at. And so master plan communities are a big one. And we also have mud taxes, which is, I forget, there's something similar in California, but basically the mud tax is a tax. We get bonds for, it stands for municipal utility district.
And we have Melrose.
Yes, there we go, Melrose. So basically it's a tax on a bond that the actual development got to build all this infrastructure and all these sewer lines and everything. And then that tax eventually pays it down and off. But it is an additional tax when Texas is known for their property taxes and not their income tax. It can take a hit on your budget. So that's also something we talk about is like, hey, like you can't afford as much in this particular neighborhood because you're going to be paying more in taxes. So that is something that I do talk to them about as we start looking in specific areas, like, hey, your budget can't be as much here because if you're trying to stay in this particular payment per month or something like that.
Right. Okay. And what are some of the things on the positive side?
Yeah.
What are some of the pros as well? I love pros and cons, right?
So yes. Yeah. So I did talk mostly about cons because you hear all these great things too, but
exactly.
So the good things I would say, like I did mention, it's most culturally diverse. And the one really great thing about that is I'm a total foodie, and there is all different types of nationality food or ethnic foods, and it is awesome to try. I've had Ethiopian food and Himalayan food and like all these different things. So I would definitely say food is one of my favorite things. Now, as you get more to the suburbs, you're not going to have as much of that. But we still have really great food. And so that would be something I really like to talk about just because like I said, I'm a total foodie. So that would be one. We also have the aerospace, so we can go to NASA. We're only an hour away from Galveston, so you can go to the beach and you can go fishing at the pier, or we've got a pleasure pier, so that's fun. So that I would say we're also about 3 hours. So we're driving distance to a lot of things, I would say as well. We're very centrally located in being 4 hours from DFW or Dallas Fort Worth, 3 hours from Austin, 3 hours from San Antonio. So we're centrally located in that a lot of these other areas are going to take them longer to get to certain places. So I like that. There's some great wineries about 3 hours, even closer in, but about 3 hours from here is Fredericksburg. And that's a really cool place to go if you just want to go and try all these different Texas wines and stuff. So there's a lot of fun weekend trips as well that you can check out being centrally located. And so I really just love Texas in that we have all this diversity in entertainment as well.
All right, you've sold me. Like you have the wine, and you have the food, and you have a beach within driving distance.
And we have tacos.
Have to come visit you. Well, you definitely have tacos.
I know you're a fan of tacos.
Very big fan of tacos. That's very exciting. All right, so let's actually talk about some food. So one of my favorite questions that I ask people is, what are their favorite spots that maybe not everyone knows about, right? So if someone's coming to pick an area, I know you serve a lot of areas in a lot of cities. So pick one of your favorite spots. Maybe let's go with Houston just because it's such a well-known area. So what are some of your favorite food spots coming straight from a foodie?
Oh gosh, this is gonna be
no
hard.
Pressure.
Having to pick. So one of my favorites is a place called Damien's. It's an Italian food restaurant, and they have this great dish with truffle mushrooms, black truffle mushrooms that I love. I'm a big truffle fan. And they make everything by hand. So I really like Damien's. One of the well-known barbecue places, this is actually not in Houston, it's in Tomball, but it's like one of the top barbecue places in Texas. It's called Tejas Barbecue. and it's fantastic. They actually started as a chocolatieri. And then they just started making barbecue, and like it took off. So their barbecue is probably my favorite place to go. And then I would say, of course, steak is always going to be a fave, but most of the places I like to go for steak are still kind of the name brands. But there is this new steakhouse I'm really wanting to try called Patton Steakhouse, because it's like a speakeasy steakhouse, which I'm super excited about. So we were going to go for our anniversary. We couldn't go. So I am going to try that one out. But yeah, I mean, of course, we've got the Del Frisco's and the Mortons and all of that. So those are always going to be fantastic. And then let's see, for the more... I'm trying to think off the cuff here. Warwick was a place I went to recently that was really, really good. And they had like a Cajun kind of food. So we had like a andouille Cajun pasta, and andouille's like the alligator. So that was really, really good. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to try. So it's hard to pick just a couple, because like, again, I'm like a huge foodie. So
I'm the same. I completely appreciate it. And if someone's watching this and they're visiting Houston or thinking about moving there, now they have a list of where they want to go, and they have you to thank for it.
Yeah.
So one last question, and this might be tricky for you too, just like the food, but what are some of your favorite activities to do in that area, and family activities, or just you and your girlfriends, whatever that may look like?
Yeah, one of my favorite things is the Hobby Performance Center, or Hobby Center for Performing Arts. Sorry, let me get that right. I'm a big fan of musicals, and so I'll go with my girlfriends, and there's like a restaurant that's attached. So we'll go and have dinner, and while we're there, this is like a little treat that not everyone knows about, but you can order for the intermission, and they have a really amazing tres leches cake. So we'll get like a champagne and a tres leches cake, and we'll go and watch the first part of the musical, and then we'll go in there, whereas everyone else has to come out and try and scramble to order drinks and stuff. We'll just walk right back into that restaurant. We'll sit down, have some champagne, eat some tres leches cake, which is fantastic, and then go walk back in for the part two. So that's probably one of my favorite things to do. And then I have kids, so I am always trying to entertain them and that sort of thing. So the Houston Zoo is definitely one that they love, and I love, as I love animals. So I like to take them to the Houston Zoo, and they're a big fan of the lions. And then the aquarium is cool because I'm not as big, I'll be honest, I'm not as big as a fish fan, but they actually have the white tigers at the aquarium. I don't know why. So I like the tigers. And then I talked briefly about NASA, which is a cool thing. I probably only go there like once a year, because I mean, you see it and then you're going to the next thing. But that's fun. And then there's a cool place on the other side of Houston. It's on Brookshire, Texas, which is just outside of Katy. And there's a place called Dewberry Farms, they've got like a corn maze, and they've got all these really cool rides for kids and stuff. So that's a lot of fun to take them to and enjoy that. So those are a couple of the things I'll do. But of course, like, I mean, girls' night out, there's fun bars and stuff too. I mean, there's a lot. Actually, Houston has like a ton of breweries and like just like microbreweries around. So it's actually a lot of fun to go and try. Like, I think we have like somewhere around like 40 or something. So,
oh, wow.
So it's really fun to like find those places and just go try like a new beer, because I like wheat beer or blondes. So, yeah, so nice. I enjoy that. So yeah, that's a fun day. And sometimes they'll have stuff for like kids to play out in like, on like a playground or something, and you can eat and drink and stuff. So that's kind of a nice thing too.
Nice. Well, it sounds like Houston is an amazing place, and I clearly need to visit very, very soon.
Yes.
For those that are watching and want to get a hold of Erica, why don't you give your little how to find you?
Yes. So you can find me at erica@bestlifetexas.com. That's my email. My phone number is actually really easy to remember. It's 281-222-8259. And yeah, you can look me up at bestlifetexas.com as well. So that's all about living your best life here in Texas. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Erica. And for those of you that are thinking about relocating to Houston, visiting Houston or any of the surrounding areas, or just looking to relocate in general, definitely let me know in the comments below and I'll connect you with Erica if that's the direction you're going. Thank you, Erica, so much. I really
Thank you.
appreciate your time. And for those of you that watch, thank you so much for joining us.